Okay, we are live, I believe. Though I'm not hearing myself. There we go. There we go. So, we're gonna count down just like we did last year, the last about hour of the MLB trade deadline, and I think every year, I believe. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna come together. I think it's gonna be a pretty slow year. That I get completely surprised, and things have gone completely off the rails in a fun way already today. First thing I saw when I woke up this morning was that Juan Soto, one of the greatest players, maybe a guy that will go down as one of the greatest players in history. And I know he's young, so it's always fast to say that. But he's on that kind of ungodly trajectory, was traded today, even a year plus removed from being a free agent. So that has been a crazy, crazy trade in and of itself. And that was just, I mean, that's obviously the biggest story. But we're going to go through everything. And I do encourage anybody that's watching, whether you're already a subscriber or a first time, please do get involved with the chat. That's when it becomes really fun. We do have the countdown going back here. We have about 44 minutes left of the trade deadline before everything is locked in. And hello, John Smith. Thanks for joining. And as always, it ends up being that some trades come in at the very, very, very last second and then don't get announced for 15 minutes, 20 minutes after the deadline. So we will stick around a little bit beyond what this timer says, as I really challenge myself to keep talking, which should be pretty easy to do because there is so much going on that's already gone on today, that went on yesterday. Josh Hader traded from the Brewers as they are deeply in the playoff hunt. I think they still do lead their division, don't they? Oops, let me click over. Yeah, the Brewers are 3 games up, and they traded away their closer, which is wild to do right now. I could see trading him before he gets too expensive for Milwaukee to be able to handle. And one of the most lights out closers in the game today. Really, I mean, talk about a surprise. And I, being somebody that lives just north of the Cheddar Curtain now, I've heard already from a lot of Milwaukee fans that they were not happy about that. Really, really not happy about that. Let's try to see if we can. Oh, I guess we'll get to it. So if anybody wants to, the Brew Crew does have Devon Williams, and I think they'll be fine. That is what made him expendable. That Devon Williams, another, I mean, a bridge guy, their 8th inning guy historically, is going to become, and there goes the 2005 Chicago White Sox off the wall behind me. Devon Williams will step into the role of closer. But as we know, in this day and age, you need those 3-headed monsters, those guys that can just completely lock down the end of a game, as the White Sox have with obviously Liam and Kendall Graveman, as long as you don't put him in the 9th inning spot, because that was brutal a couple of days ago. Even Matt Foster is looking to be a guy that the White Sox rely on for some of those high leverage times. Hey, we might as well jump right into it. The White Sox did make a move already. It's going to be, in the grand scheme of today's action and the deadline action, people aren't going to be talking about this. But I think this is one of those small trades that makes all the sense in the world for the White Sox. I actually love this trade, which I don't often say that when it comes to a White Sox trade. It just seems like they are a little bit off based on what I would do. Usually, fix my framing a little bit here. But yeah, so the White Sox had this excess of catching. I think Reese McGuire, I like the trade that Reese McGuire comes in for Zach Collins. He seemed like a guy that was a prospect and that had never came together. So change of scenery candidate. Same thing for Reese McGuire. He was out of options. The Blue Jays couldn't hold him. So let's get something for him. I think that's a trade that kind of worked out for both teams. And Reese did, I think, a fine job as a backup catcher. The only hit against him maybe is that Seby Zavala became a really good hitter this year. He definitely matured and showed that he is a major league catcher now. And so now the White Sox, they can't carry, which they have been carrying, Zavala, Grandal, and McGuire, but McGuire couldn't get any playing time. So really, we just didn't have a place for him at all. And the White Sox needed a left-handed pitcher in the bullpen. Our main guy, Aaron Bummer, has been out with an injury, and I think he's gone for the season. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he might come back later in the season. I don't know if that's fully defined yet. But But yeah, for the fact that the White Sox needed a lefty, any lefty, and they were able to get trade away a player we didn't need at all for a left-handed pitcher is really excellent. Going from the Boston Red Sox, Jake Diekemann, he is a guy that really has great strikeout numbers, but terrible walk numbers, and that's as a viewer, as a fan, that's the most infuriating thing to see is free passes. Hopefully, Ethan Katz can help him come together a little bit there. But he is going to be an asset. The White Sox needed a left-handed arm in the bullpen, and we got one with experience. And I'm seeing from the tip line, John is saying that the Brewers just got Trevor Rosenthal. Let's take a peek here as we refresh. And of course, I'm just like any of you watching. Yeah, Brewers acquired Trevor Rosenthal. Just like any of you watching, I'm just a fan that loves this, that likes to talk about it. I'm not going to have the most in-depth analysis because I don't know the minor leagues of every team through and through. So I'll just be reacting like you guys are. And yeah, yeah, from the Trevor Rosenthal from the Giants. And I was going to talk on this a bit too, that as frustrating as the season has been for White Sox fans, and it has been, I can't imagine being a San Francisco Giants fan. This is a team that was the best in all of baseball last year, as far as the regular season was concerned, with 107, I think, wins during the season. And the fact that they are not in the playoff hunt this year has got to be so disappointing, even after picking up former White Sox, Carlos Rodon, who has pitched well for him. Even that has not saved them from really going down the tubes hard. So they've been trading away some of their players. And yes, John would have liked Molly. It's because they lost Posey. Yeah, Posey going down, and Joey Bart is the future at that position, catching position for the Giants, but he's just not there yet. And, you do see a lot of times big time prospects go bust. I'm rooting for Joey Bart still, but he just certainly isn't a team leader yet. I mean, you can't expect him to be. He's so young. But hopefully something is able to work out for the Giants. But wow, this year has not been their year at all. So let's see. Let's go on. What else do we want to talk about here? Jose Quintana. There's another name. I think we're seeing a bit more interdivision trades this year than we have in the past, which is kind of interesting. You used to never see a team trade to another team within their division, even if they're not in the hunt. You just don't want to see your prospects playing against you over and over again. And maybe that's because after this year, the unbalanced schedule goes away. And so even though you are competing for the better record in the division, you won't have as many head-to-head matchups. Maybe that's part of the reason. But yes, Cardinals acquire Jose Quintana and Chris Stratton from the Pirates. So Cardinals are making some decent moves here, and Quintana has had a nice rebound year. He did not do well last year with the Angels. It kind of looked like maybe his career was in its twilight, and maybe it still is, but he's had a really fine year pitching for the Pirates of all teams. So it's going to be, I always like to root for the former White Sox players, even if, especially if they're not in the American League anymore. So here's another one in the division, not intra-division trade, but something that we should pay attention to is that Robbie Grossman leaves the Tigers heading for Arizona. Or sorry, not Arizona, but Atlanta. So Grossman has not been amazing, but he has been a very solid player for them. And something that I was going to focus on today a little bit for us White Sox fans who might be watching this is what might this mean for the rest of the season? And I have it all added up how many games the White Sox have against different teams. I should have had this up already. So the White Sox do have 9 more games against the Tigers this year. And when you look at the upcoming schedule, we'll be referring to this a few more times, I'm sure, today. But looking at the upcoming schedule, the remainder of games all this year, White Sox are facing mostly teams that will be getting rid of good players, which, again, bodes well for us. The Twins are certainly a team that is bulking up right now. I don't know. I don't think we've seen too much out of Cleveland yet, which is interesting because they are such on the fringe. They should be buying right now, but they tend to act. I don't know. They're another team I can't figure out a lot. Astros, of course, they are bulking up right now, and Mariners. And of course, one of the last series of the season is going to be extra exciting to watch, extra, I don't know, fearful to watch, because right at the end of the season, when maybe the wins count more than ever, the White Sox will have to face the San Diego Padres, who now have Juan Soto on the team. That's a game you kind of watch like this through your fingers because it's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting. And I just wish we had a little bit of an easier final couple games. That said, we do have 3 against the Diamondbacks, 2 against the Rockies. We need revenge against the Rockies. I cannot believe we split against them. 4 against the A's, who have been selling off. 3 against the Orioles. They traded away Trey Mancini recently, which I kind of thought he might be a lifer, a Paul Konerko type in Baltimore, but no, he was traded away. Uh, Rangers, again, they're in that middle ground as well. But yeah, 9 against the Tigers, 9 against the Tigers, who are selling off, and 10 more against the Royals, most of which are this month. So hopefully we see a lot more of these teams get a lot weaker. And I don't know, I guess hopefully the Twins don't do too much more to bolster their staff, which they've been good about doing right now. Let's take another quick look over here. Look specifically at Twins rumors. And by the way, Blue Jays and Phillies are duking it out right now for Noah Syndergaard. I'm happy. I was really afraid that we would see the Twins in on him as well. He hasn't been exceptional, but still, he's a good arm that has possible high upside. He's a little bit of a question mark as he is kind of still coming back, honestly, from a lot of injuries. So yes, Twins picked up. Oh, here's an intra-division trade. Twins acquire Sandy Leone from the Guardians. It's wild that there's so much going on within the division right now. But there's a catcher, not exactly a game changer. I'm not too concerned about that one right now. But yeah, Tyler, and I've been meaning to look up exactly how to say his name because as a National Leaguer, I just don't hear it said much. Molly. Okay, it is Molly. Tyler Molly comes to the Twins from the Reds. The Reds have been in sell mode for a while now, a couple of years. Let's see, what is he doing this year? Just a 4.40 ERA, though. Do you have to consider that he pitches in Cincinnati, which is a very hitter-friendly stadium? Still has racked up 5 wins against 7 losses, 104 innings pitched across 19 starts, more strikeouts than innings pitched. Yeah, the Twins honestly did a really good job picking up starting pitching here, which is something that they desperately needed. Again, being fearful as I am as a White Sox fan, I was afraid that that somehow Carlos Rodon would have ended up pitching against us and finally had a healthy season while he's playing for a rival. But I don't know if the Twins will be able to pick him up while also picking up Tyler Mahle. And what are the Red Sox doing? This is John Smith. The Red Sox, in my opinion, and it seems somewhat clear to me right now that the Red Sox are in a minor sell-off. They don't want, as a big market team, to look like they're going to tank. They don't want to. I don't think they'll trade away Xander Bogaerts or any of their other big names. They've traded away to Houston. Is it Christian Vasquez, their catcher, after just a couple of days ago saying that they're not really exploring trading him. But I don't know what they're doing with Eric Hosmer. Let's see if we can find an update on that, because I'm sure you watching this right now are aware that that Eric Hosmer, who has this crazy big contract playing for the San Diego Padres, he is past his prime and he's just sucking too much budget out. And San Diego has been trying to get below the salary cap, the luxury tax, I should say, not a cap. So they desperately need to move him. Meanwhile, they're bringing in big names like Juan Soto, so their payroll is going up. So they needed to dump Eric Hosmer, and somehow, for some reason, the Red Sox took Eric Hosmer from them. I'm guessing that he must be bundled with some really big high-end prospects. I don't know if that, and they're listening on Nate Eovaldi. You're right. I guess they're in this kind of middle ground where I don't think they want to fully give up on their future, but if they can quickly restock, maybe with some high level major league ready or high, guys who are almost there, ready to contribute next year, I have to think that that's what the Red Sox are doing right now. They have been so unlucky with former White Sox ace Chris Sale, and you never root against anyone, but it really shows, as much as we like to at times jump on Rick Hahn or Kenny Williams, that Chris Sale was dealt at the right time. The White Sox had so many great years out of Chris Sale. dealt him away. And listen, he was still effective with the Red Sox. He won a World Series with them. So again, I'm not rooting against him, but Chris Sale has just been a shell of himself due to injury in these most recent years. And Rick Lamb is on the Mariners now. It's always fun to see those types of guys. I mean, you're mean. Talk about those types of guys that were an interesting person on your team for a little bit. Definitely still rooting for your mean Mercedes out on the Giants, and now apparently Jake Lamb on the Mariners. Yeah, I love your mean too. I would love to do an interview with him. That would be cool. I feel like he would talk very freely, and maybe that's why he wouldn't want to do one. Yeah, I'm definitely in the pro Yermin camp, and I want to see him. I don't care even if it makes White Sox look bad that we got rid of him. I want to see him be an all-star and maybe the next Willie Mays in San Francisco. You have his jersey. That's cool. I think that's cool. I bet a lot of people have Yermin White Sox jerseys. I'm just going to do a quick refresh as we are going to be doing all the time here. Orioles acquire Brett Phillips. We saw recently that Brett Phillips was on the trading block from the Rays. I think he's a really good player. What's going on here? So I know from Tampa Bay's side, I think he got kind of squeezed out of playing time. Although he's a solid player, and they also lost Kevin Kiermaier to injury. So I don't exactly know. Let's see. Tampa designated Phillips for assignment today. That's why I saw him earlier after acquiring Jose Siri from the Astros. So I guess it's good that they got something from him. It's probably going to be player to be named later or cash. But yeah, what are the Orioles doing here? I guess it's, he's probably pre-ARB eligible. I'm not exactly sure on that one, I'm guessing. So it might just be a cheap value pickup for the Orioles. Yeah, $1.4 million salary this year. He is ARB eligible next year. So I don't know. I guess it's a decent pickup for Baltimore. Kind of still surprised to see it. And yeah, Mariners get third baseman Jake Lamb from the Dodgers. Okay, so that is the latest news. As I take another sip. So if there's any specific trade, I do want to try to go over as much as possible, as we have about 27 minutes left on the current countdown. I was thinking of another one. Okay, another one to the Twins. This was earlier. Jorge Lopez, all-star closer Jorge Lopez from Baltimore to Minnesota. So yeah, Minnesota is doing a really good job shoring up their pitching situation. Twins send a couple of prospects over. So really, you just kind of hope that the Twins just empty out their farm system and still don't make the playoffs somehow. Yeah, it's interesting. Jed Hoyer of the Cubs has to wake up. I was actually talking about that today with one of my really good friends who's a Cubs fan. In spite of him being a Cubs fan, he's a really good friend. Yeah, the Cubs have two really big trade pieces in Wilson Contreras. Of course, he's one of the top trade pieces in the whole game, and Ian Happ. I don't really know what's going to happen. I would love to see. It doesn't matter what team it is. I always think, what would I do if I was the general manager? The Cubs have a crazy amount of money. Let's be completely honest here. Their farm system isn't terrible. Contreras is the type of guy at an elite position, at a difficult to replace position, catcher, that a team could, in my opinion, should build a team around. So extend him, whatever it takes. The Cubs do have some bad contracts on the books. Hayward is still on the books for next year at $22 million. That's just lost money at this point. You got to kind of write that off. DFA him if you have to. Maybe you can get $1 million or $500,000 back by somebody placing a claim on him. But yeah, the Cubs just really haven't done. I shouldn't say they haven't done much. They recently traded David Robertson. I'm not totally familiar with the piece they got back, but those are the types of guys they should be trading. Guys that are veterans. I don't even care if they're pricey or not, but if they don't have a place on the team long term, this is the time to trade them away. So they have been making some of those moves, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. They are trying to get, I think, so much for Contreras that maybe a deadline or maybe a deal will never come to be because they're expecting too much. And if that happens, extend him. Give him all the money he needs to be the face of your franchise moving forward. However, last year, if you guys were here with me last year, I think we all were so surprised to see how many players the Cubs got rid of that were face of the franchise type players. Let's see. Twins are making good moves. Some moves I want the White Sox to make. And it's a shame up to this point. Our big acquisition is Jake Diekemann. The Cubs do a great job with the reliever pickups. They flip at the deadline. Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with that. I don't know what, getting back to the White Sox, what I would really want them to be doing right now. And I guess, right now, I think there's only a handful of us watching. And by the way, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, first off, welcome. And I do apologize that I had to put the requirement on that you be a subscriber to comment. The reason I did that, if you were here with us during the MLB lockout countdown, that was in December of this year, we had trolls come in and just fill the chat box with negativity, like horrible things, just to be trolls. So I was thinking, just if I put this 10-minute timer or 5-minute or whatever it is, that it should filter out those people. So I'm not trying to get subscribers. I'm just trying to filter out the trolls. So if you want to subscribe to comment and chat with us, you'll just be on a 5-minute wait. And then you can unsubscribe later. That's fine. I'm doing this just to eliminate trolls, not to get subscribers. Anyway, and we do want to talk about all of baseball, as we are. But obviously, this is mostly White Sox channel, so we'll be paying closer attention to that. Latest updates. Red Sox still looking to trade Nate Eovaldi and Rich Hill, and that's about it. No new news yet. The White Sox, are they a team as constructed that they're only a piece or two away from being dominant? I think the potential is there 100%. The team has a lot of talent, a lot of talent. And if they're all clicking, then they are an unbeatable team. But we just haven't seen that consistency for them this year, which I believe might make the front office a little hesitant to go too all in on the season, which I kind of get as a fan. It's been unfortunate, but if that's the mentality, I do kind of understand it. And the other big issue is that the White Sox don't have a super deep farm system. So I know there were some players that we were hoping the White Sox would get, including Carlos Rodon. I had friends texting me that the White Sox should go after him, and it would be cool if it works out. I always think of Carlos Rodon as a ticking time bomb late in the year. But would the White Sox even have the minor league prospect capital to trade to get somebody as high end as he is, even though he's going to be on a rental contract? I don't exactly know. If Tony wasn't the manager, then yes. I try to not comment on it too much. I mean, I think you've seen me complain. I don't love the lineups the White Sox let's not say the White Sox that Tony puts out. I do think also that the White Sox, to be just honest and fair, I think the White Sox team has the talent that they should be able to overcome a subpar manager. And that's not happening. I don't really know. I think another part of it is, for me, if we fire Tony, is there somebody that I would love to see take over as the White Sox manager? And I don't even know who that would be. So at that extent, I'm kind of at a loss. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be saying fire Tony, because I don't know who else would be doing better other than myself. I'll put my hat in the ring. I'll send in a resume. But I don't know about that. I'm not a huge Tony La Russa fan, but I try to not blame him for all the shortcomings. I'll blame him for some. He has done better this year, I think, than last, which is maybe a low bar. Ozzy, I know a lot of White Sox fans would hate this, but I would even be tempted to say, yeah, let's give Ozzy another shot, because you need some energy back there. And I think Tony is good. Tony has a lot of positives. But like, I hated when we had Robin Ventura, who was one of my favorite players growing up. But Robin Ventura, he was even lower energy than Tony La Russa. And I thought he was terrible for the team. And moving, you need a guy that to be that spark plug, that firecracker in the dugout. Keep people loose. I think that's a very, very important thing. So let's take a look back here. Boston will be acquiring prospects. Wow. Okay. So Boston is picking up a couple of prospects in that Eric Hosmer deal. So kind of was what I was expecting, although this is weird. So this is getting back to Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer with his massive contract going from San Diego out to Boston. how does this make sense for the Red Sox? And I just said that he must be getting packaged with a whole bunch of high-end prospects, kind of like you're paying Boston off to take on this bad prospect. Something that's odd to me is that Boston is sending a pitching prospect to San Diego. I don't understand that at all. I feel like Boston should only be taking on prospects. They do get a couple of other prospects, Corey Rosinger and Max Ferguson. I do not know how high up those guys are, but I really, for Boston's sake, they should be super high up to make that trade make any sense at all. Let's see. I was going to mention another trade went down today that went down about a year ago. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. Dodgers picking up Joey Gallo. Interesting move. Joey Gallo was traded at last year's deadline to the Yankees. So we were able to cover that one live on the chat last year. And he went from being a Gold Glove outfielder with tremendous power, low batting average, but tremendous power, to just a really good fielder. He still had some power, but his batting average, I think 159 since joining the Yankees. Really, really terrible batting average. Which, batting average isn't everything, but it is an indication of how well the guy is making contact. So he went from being a very strikeout prone hitter to being a very, very, very unlucky strikeout prone hitter. Dodgers picking him up is pretty interesting. I'm curious to see if a change of scenery will help him out. I was thinking that there'd be a more smaller market team, I guess, picking him up. Somebody, not to say the Cardinals or the Brewers, but a team like that, where maybe having less media attention on him will help him relax a bit more. But yeah, going from New York to LA is not exactly a downgrade when it comes to media attention. And he's a guy that I don't think I heard too many White Sox fans saying that we should get him, but I was a little bit surprised because we're always talking about getting a left-handed power hitter, and he is that. This is a case where I'm excited that the White Sox did not go after a player. I actually think Gallo would have done well in Chicago, but we have Gavin Sheets, and I feel like we have a similar hitter right there, a better hitter at this point. Yes, lesser glove, but still a pretty good hitter. And Sheets has more potential than Gallo at this point. I mean, Gallo is definitely a bounce back candidate, but I'm glad the White Sox didn't go after him. Yeah, Gallo would drive you nuts. Yeah, I'm as you know, you've been on this channel for a while, and I appreciate you being a dedicated subscriber. I don't like the players that are kind of all or nothing hitters. I mean, I hated when we we signed Adam Dunn as a free agent, and like, okay, well, the homers will be nice, but I think I'm going to mostly dislike this. And it was worse than I could have imagined. And he even had an all-star season with us. He had a year where he had about 40 home runs and literally made the all-star team. But outside of that 1 year, he was terrible. I wish he would stick to producing, because he won an Oscar. He won an Oscar when he was with the White Sox as a producer of that Matthew McConaughey movie. I can't think of the name of it now. But anyway, and then, of course, then we go after LaRoche, and that becomes even worse. The White Sox were, for a little while there, too interested in getting those high home run and home run or bust type players. So we have only about 16 minutes left. And I think there's still going to be some big moves. I think the Cubs will make a move. I'm really surprised that they haven't yet. Let's take a look at some of the other trades that have already happened. Let's see, Osmer. Oh, the Phillies are picking up Brandon Marsh. Now, I want to take a look at the Phillies. Forgetting which computer I'm on. Sorry for making a look at the back of my head. So the Phillies right now are surprising me because they are 10 games back within their division. Let's see where they are in the wild card. Come on, Philadelphia. They are actually the last wild card team. So they're holding on to that final playoff spot. They're white knuckling it, just one game ahead of the Cardinals for the final playoff spot in the National League. And they are making moves to fortify their team a bit. Picking up Brandon Marsh from the Angels. And I want to make sure, Brandon Marsh, the caveman. If anybody's been watching, Mr. Duck Dynasty with a massive beard. It's going to be unfortunate to we can't make fun of him when we play him anymore. Brandon Marsh is a really solid young player that's still, I mean, maybe not young, but he's got control left. The Phillies pick him up. I was kind of surprised to see the Angels give up on him. I suppose there was a little bit of an outfield crunch with having enough players that they didn't need to hold on to, that an outfielder was expendable. But I think that was a really nice pickup for the Phillies. And it's a bit different now that we've gotten rid of the DH, but in general, players, offensive players, do a little bit better in the National League, I feel. So Brandon Marsh, I think he was already a solid player, very good defender. He had some difficulties here or there. Wasn't the most consistent hitter, but I think he'll take a step forward in Philadelphia. The National League East might become a really interesting division to watch. And I just think back to last year when we saw the Atlanta Braves making all of these moves, and we're thinking, what are they doing? They are on the outside looking in. They're wasting prospects right now. They don't have Acuna. They don't have a chance to make the playoffs. And they made some big moves, and they won the World Series last year. So a lot can happen, and a lot can change on this day. Let's see. John Smith, look at the Guardians. The Guardians are such a good, scrappy team. Yep. They just rack up the singles, play good defense, run the base as well. All or nothing hitters are overrated, in my opinion. Yeah, I am certainly with you there. Cannon Jeffries, first off, Cannon, pleasure to have you. Do you see anything in these last 15 minutes? Has to be one of the most disappointing teams this season at the deadline. I'm guessing you're talking about the White Sox. I kind of doubt it. It's possible. I'm part of me is ready to be surprised. I think that I don't want to say I think that there will be. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another move, but kind of a smaller move. I think back to 05, as I always think back to 05, when the White Sox, they only made one move at the deadline, and that was picking up Jeff Blum, a bench piece. I don't think the White Sox would go after a guy like that because we have Leury Garcia. And I don't know, there has been talk about going after a left-handed bat, with finally a healthy, and hopefully they stay that way, switch hitting Moncada, switch hitting Yasmani Grandal, and Gavin Sheets. I think the White Sox I don't think we need to target a left-handed bat. I know there's constantly the want for another, a different second baseman. I don't know if there's anybody really on the market that could be that game changer for us at the Keystone as we look, and there's 13 minutes left now. It's certainly possible. I could see the White Sox getting maybe another bullpen addition. Twins just got Michael Fulmer from the Tigers. Now that's an interesting one, and I haven't looked at the deal yet, but I will say I'm happy about it because Michael Fulmer hasn't been great for a while. He's a guy that, of course, as a prospect, had really high potential, and he showed that he was going to be this future star type of player. This year, well, I guess moving him to the bullpen definitely helped. This year, he's played in 41 games, racked up just a 0.4 WAR, but that's relievers. So you're not going to have too much. ERA is really, really solid at 3.20. So he apparently is a very good piece out of the bullpen. Because last time he was a starter was 2020. He put up an 8.78 ERA. Getting a bullpen piece, again, it's another interdivision trade that's so wild. I can't imagine the Twins had to give up too much for him. But yeah, that's probably a good move for the Twins, which I hate to say it. And thanks for the tip. Yes, big Sox fan. Cannon and John, is there any piece of the White Sox roster that you think they should still address? Any trade proposals, even if it's not a full trade, but you would want this certain player or this certain other player has to go? One thing I would say with the White Sox, oh man, it's so wild. I've spent my entire life living down the fact that the White Sox are a cheap team, that they don't spend money. White Sox are actually pretty close to the luxury tax threshold, which is insane to say. Their competitive balance tax, they're at $230 million is where you have to start paying a tax. The White Sox right now are at about $211 million with an actual payroll this year of $194 million. So I wouldn't have been surprised. Like, I know the White Sox wouldn't have gone into a full sell-off, anything like that, but I could have seen the White Sox making a certain player available That one being AJ Pollock. Now, I like AJ Pollock a lot. I really, really do like him on the team, but he makes $10 million this year and next. If the White Sox are afraid of getting too close to the luxury tax, he's had a fine, not exceptional, but fine bounce back season after losing some years to underperformance and injury in the past. I could have seen the White Sox making AJ Pollock available mostly as a salary dump. So if that were to happen, I wouldn't be totally surprised. Okay, so we do have. So Cannon first says he would have loved Jock Peterson to our Sox. So looking for that lefty outfield bat. G-Man 212. Are you in New York? We're banking on we have the talent and hoping these guys find it, which is what it is. Because I don't think one big move is going to change our guys underperforming. Yeah, I don't know if you were with us a little bit earlier, but I said something very, very similar to that. Yeah, and that's the thing that's so frustrating about this team right now is that we do have, I think, the talent to easily make the playoffs and maybe even go deep into the playoffs. I don't have the same level of confidence that I've had in certain years past, where you just felt like, oh, these guys are indestructible. Now we've seen these guys falter a lot, and it's more than just the injuries. The injuries you do have to consider realistically. And I know people don't want to say you can't blame injuries for a team doing poorly. Well, yeah, if the whole team's injured, you can. And that's what the White Sox had to deal with a lot. And they did that while facing the toughest part of their schedule. So that to me is still kind of amazing that the White Sox had so many guys on the disabled list while playing some of the toughest teams. And we've still gotten to this point where we're at 500. We're healthy now. No more excuses. Finish strong. Okay. John says it's hard because he's probably my favorite player on the team, but I think they should trade Eloy. He gets banged up too much, but I think you can get some nice pieces for him. I'll first respond to that before the next one. I understand White Sox fans thinking that, feeling that, and it's always fine to have differences of opinion. Something that I've noticed in my late age is that there are certain players that seem when they're young, when they're about Eloy's age, their younger 20s, that they're injured all the time. And just look at Derrick Rose with the Bulls. One of the finest, most talented players in the year that he was a rookie. But they're still growing a little bit. They're still, their body is still going through a lot. And of course, being athletes, they've already put their body through a lot to get to this point. And these injuries, they come up like crazy. I think there's a maturity level, not mentally, but just physical body getting used to being their current size, that they tend to, after a while, level off, and these injuries aren't as common anymore. And I know I'm an optimistic person. I try to be hopeful all the time, and so that's what I believe because I want to believe it. I'm hopeful that Eloy will be there, that he's gone through the difficulties and that he will taper off on the injuries and just be that great hitter we see he can be. He's still got the power right now, which is nice to see. Seems like we're so focused on Shohei after the Angels pulled him off the market. Rick was caught with his pants down, doesn't know what to do now. So I have to admit, I've heard a lot of talk about Shohei being available to some degree. For one, I don't think the White Sox would have ever had enough prospect capital to get the reigning MVP, a guy that could change the game with his bat while he's also on the mound. What an exceptional once in a lifetime talent he is. Yes, I would have. He's one of the few people I would have been okay with trading the future for. And I know, yeah, we don't have very many prospects, but I have high hopes for not Euclid. Wow, I went back in time there. Cespedes and Oscar Colas. And I don't know really how amazing Norge Vera is going to be. He's in the lower minors right now, and he's dealt with injuries, but I think he's somebody that has a high ceiling. I think maybe Shohei Ohtani would probably be the only person I'd be fine with maybe giving up all three of those guys too. Would that have gotten the job done for Anaheim? I really don't know. Checking in on the time, 6 minutes remaining. Phillies are making up ground on Syndergaard, and then Syndergaard to Phillies back to back right there. So again, as we were just talking about, Phillies are really making moves now. They might be the Braves of this year, where they go from a fringe team to a favorite. Although you really can't dismiss the Padres, who are not a fringe team, let's take a look where they are in their respective division. Of course, they're behind. Um, pardon me, the Dodgers. They're 12 back at the Dodgers, but of course, well within the wild card. They're the number 2 wild card, just 2 up on the Phillies right now. But you got to imagine after today, they're going to be really pushing the Braves for that number 1 wild card spot. I do like the new playoff format with more teams and more motivation to become the best team. All right, another drink timeout for me. Oh, and so I got into a little debate recently. Speaking of the Angels possibly trading Shohei Ohtani, Blue Jays acquire Mitch White from the Dodgers. Okay, not a big move, but something. Um, I really have no idea why the Angels would want to trade Shohei unless they got a crazy, 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 crazy return. Because even though they aren't in the playoff hunt as usual for Anaheim, uh, I have to imagine that merely having Shohei on your team pays for itself, more than pays for itself. Having Shohei on your team is bringing people out to the ballpark. It's making people tune in. They can make more on all sorts of different advertising, television rights, and the merchandising. People buying Shohei jerseys, and I know they don't get the full 100% of that. Shohei gets some, but I really believe having that international attention. How much ratings and so on and so how much of their audience is not even in California, not even in America, but in Japan, paying attention and buying Angels gear. I don't have those numbers, but I would love to see what it is. I think just merely having Shohei, just thinking about baseball as a business, having him on your team is a profit, a huge profit margin right there. Even when you have to, pay him his millions. Cards get Jordan Montgomery. That ain't worth it in your opinion. So G-Man, you're saying trading our top 3 prospects for Shohei wouldn't be worth it? This is one of those that's it's up for debate because I hate trading prospects. I'm one of those guys that gets too emotionally involved with watching the young kids come up as we have 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes. But could Shohei, just imagine that you suddenly have Shohei on your team. That is another starter that would really help the White Sox out because while Michael Kopech is doing really great, I'm very impressed with him this year. I don't know how many innings, especially if you were to get into the playoffs and go into October. Kopech has never thrown this many innings in a single season. And so anytime he goes out there on the mound, I get a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, just because, we don't want to gamble with his health at all. Shohei would really take a lot of that fear away. Johnny Cueto seemed like an interesting, I'm glad the White Sox, he's not coming up in any trade rumors at all right now, which is great. It's also showing that White Sox aren't punting on the season, that they're still in on it, because he would have otherwise been a really obvious ideal person to flip. And good God, he has saved this team so much. The only one I trade the farm for would be Soto, which I get that. Good Lord. Juan Soto is such an exceptional player. Bader traded to the Yankees for Montgomery. Wait, what? Hold on. Mets pick up Michael Givens from the Cubs. We had a hunch that he would be going. But Bader, Mets acquiring Given. John, top 5 prospects and Eloy for Soto. I don't think I would have gone that far, but I get it because he is that kind of a generational, once in a lifetime talent, and he's still got. Is it next year also, or the next 2 years? It's weird. Again, talking about the business of baseball, the Washington Nationals are for sale, and so that was the equation. That do you extend Soto or do you extend Soto or trade him? I really thought neither would happen because for a buyer coming in to buy the Nationals, to have Juan Soto on your team would be so valuable. Even though you might not have him forever, he would be super expensive to extend. You would think that the future owners would want to be the ones to make that decision, not have it done now in advance. But hey, that's why I'm sitting here in my office and not in a front office. G-Man, I'm okay with high prospector 2 and some kind of But the more guys you lose, the more spots you have to fill. I'd rather have 9 good than 3 great, 6 average. Major League Baseball types of guys, he's saying. Yeah, no, there's a really good point there. And it's odd how often I'm bringing up the Bulls because I'm not a really big basketball fan, definitely the baseball guy. But for a long time when I was watching the Bulls, they kind of fell into the opposite of what you're talking about, where they had a whole bunch of B-level players. This is back early 2000s, I'm saying, or they had a bunch of fine players, but they didn't have any leaders, and they never went anywhere because they did need that one big name. And of course, basketball and baseball are very different as far as how teams are constructed. Marlins not expected to trade Pablo Lopez. I'm going to keep throwing this out there. I haven't done it yet, but if anybody wants to, I'm really excited about the idea that there's a AAA team not too far from us here in the Midwest, in Beloit, Wisconsin. The Beloit Sky Carp is the AAA affiliate of the Miami Marlins. So I really want to go out there and see some games. And they picked up Billy Hamilton recently. Not that recently, a couple months ago. And I think I missed my chance to see Billy in person, where there's probably going to be like 4 people in attendance. But that would have actually been a lot of fun. So maybe we can get a field trip together if anybody else wants to make that happen. Just scrolling around. I read Bader as hater in your comments. Harrison Bader from the Cardinals going out to New York to the Yankees. That's a pretty wild one. I guess he's going to take that outfield spot from Gallo. Bader, I was a big fan of. I was pretty high on him. Great defense, and I thought his bat was coming around. But yeah, the Cardinals obviously found him expendable in exchange for pitching. So it's always fun to see decent players, good players, go between playoff-bound teams. So you have the Yankees and the Cardinals, 2 teams that, I mean, the Cardinals right now are on the outside looking in, but I think they'll make it in? Hold on. I feel like we're getting, okay, minute and a half left, according to this clock, at least. So still no new news, still nothing more from the Cubs. Yeah, just quick scroll, nothing else major. So let's take a quick look again. Cardinals, 3 games back of Milwaukee. So they're definitely in the hunt for the division, but for the wild card, they are just 1 game out. So yeah, Cardinals are in a very similar position to the White Sox, where just a couple of games out in the division and the wild card. And so when you see that, you think, well, the White Sox should be doing as much as the Cardinals are, right? Let's see. No leader, Captain Kirk. I don't know what. Sorry, no leader, Captain Kirk. I didn't catch what that was in response to. John Smith. It's a good move. Great defender out there in the outfield that can move Judge back to right. Yeah, it was so weird that Judge, and I guess he did a decent job out there. They've got a somewhat smaller outfield than other places, but it was odd to me to see Aaron Judge in center field. So yeah, that is very good that they'll have a true, very talented center fielder out there. Less than 3 minutes to go here. Let's take a quick look. What else do we have going on? So yeah, we talked about it at the very beginning, but not in detail. Padres pick up Juan Soto and Josh Bell, who's having a really nice year. For CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, Luke Voigt, among the players going back to the Nationals. Yeah, the Nats are definitely doing a good job in restocking their system. I didn't think Soto was going to go anywhere for a number of reasons, including the ownership, as I was saying, the sale. But also, I just didn't think there would be any package that would have been worth it to the Nationals to pick up Juan Soto. Clearly, I'm wrong. And let's see, what do we have here? Nationals. Yeah, they're in the basement in the East. Wow. I mean, we knew they'd be bad. Nelson Cruz was somebody out there as well that was expected to be traded. Kirk Heinrich from the Bills. Oh, yeah, Captain Kirk. I forgot. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he was definitely, yeah, like when Kirk Heinrich is kind of your team leader. Jalen Rose was around that time. Good players, all of them good players, but they really needed a leader, a star type player. Here we go. Finally, Whit Merrifield traded to the Blue Jays, which is interesting. And I promise you, this is not about politics at all. Whit Merrifield, who's I believe, not vaccinated, gets traded to the Blue Jays. American players can't go to Toronto unless they're vaccinated. So you'd be interested. It'd be interesting to see what the behind the scenes of this deal was, because obviously you're not picking up a player to only play the road games. And the only reason I know this is because recently Kansas City played Toronto in Toronto, and a lot of players, including Whit Merrifield, weren't able to go, which gave a lot of minor leaguers their first major league experience. It's always kind of fun to see like a spring training game in the middle of the season. So I wonder, Whit had to have consented, you would assume. Maybe he got some additional bonus to be able to play up there. It's going to be really interesting. I hope we get some behind the scenes on how that trade came together. And I'm excited about it because, Whit Merrifield hit a home run against us yesterday. And today the White Sox won't have to play him now. So that's cool. And we are on the other side of the trade deadline. So this is one of those deadlines that obviously took place right as the clock was striking 0. This was announced 3 minutes after. And we'll just hang out for a couple more minutes. Yeah, they had to have talked to Whit beforehand. Because that's not even a thing where the team could have said like, "Oh, we'll look the other way just for you." It's a governmental thing. There's no negotiation there, unless something changed in Canada's rules, which I don't believe it has. But I'm not really paying attention to that either. So I'm just going to go through some of the latest, not the latest, some other trades that I just didn't get to, mostly killing time just to see if anything else comes in at the last minute. Braves Astros swap Will Smith for Jake Odorizzi. Jake was a guy that I was kind of hoping the White Sox would pick up the last offseason, but clearly didn't work out. But yeah, Astros, again, another case of two playoff bound teams trading players. I guess there's not too much else. Oh yeah, Phillies, Brandon Marsh. Oh yeah, Mets Giants, JD Davis for Darren Ruff. That's an interesting one. Yeah, with the Blue Jays. Okay. So another case of the Giants selling off. JD Davis comes over for Darren Ruff. Clearly the Mets were ready to move on from Davis, pick up first baseman, left fielder Darren Ruff from the Giants, who are selling off what they can. I don't know why they would. Let's see, how much time does JD Davis have left? He is still ARB eligible for next year. So, the Giants must. Oh, yeah, he's ARB eligible for the next 3 years. So the Giants must see that he's a piece that they would want to keep around and continue to develop. Anyone know anything? Take 5. Anyone know what's going on with Conforto? I know he was hurt before the season and didn't get signed. Is he still out there? The answer is yes. There we go. He had knee surgery, using this year to get ready for next. Thank you, G-Man, which makes me want to call you G-Man Choi. But yeah, Michael Conforto, it feels like almost every year Scott Boras gets in the way of one of his players' progress, or gets in the way of the success of one of his players. And that's not really fair to say. He has so many players under his spell, under his control, that and he's always looked at as a bad guy because he's really one of these forces that drives up player salaries, which is honestly, it's a good thing for the game. Obviously, he's doing what he's supposed to do for his players, for his clients. But yeah, Michael Conforto probably could have signed in the offseason and then was advised to hold off because he had a qualifying offer attached to him. And because of that, in that time, he messed up his knee somehow, and then is therefore not going to get signed. I don't think anybody did sign him. I think there's still a possibility that somebody would sign him just knowing that he'd be on the injured list all of next year for injured list this year with the hope of him coming back next year, but that hasn't happened. Okay, so maybe we'll stick around for just a couple minutes longer. I want to find that Josh Hader trade. We haven't talked. We've mentioned it, and I am, to be honest with you, a little bit surprised that there's not a little bit more news from the White Sox. So Hader's on his way to San Diego in exchange for Padres' own closer Taylor Rogers, righty Dinelson Lamet, prospect Robert Gasser, and outfield prospect Estri Ruiz. And And that was that. So yeah, Milwaukee gets some decent players back. I don't know. I still think it's a funny one to happen at this point in the season. I could have seen that easily as an offseason move. Um, is there a team more active out there when it comes to big splashes than the Padres? And the Padres, for all the work that they've done, they haven't had yet the success to show for it. Also, with San Diego picking up Juan Soto and Josh Bell, how depressing must it be if you are a Rockies fan or if you're a Diamondbacks fan? It just feels like these two teams, even when the Giants having an off year, the Padres keep doing these huge moves to become powerhouses up there with LA. It's going to be a long time, I think, before we see anybody other than the Dodgers and the Padres in the top two spots in the American League West. Who had the best deadline? I'm thinking Yankees, second best. That says G-Man says that. I would really have to take a look at everything, and add it up. But as you've heard me gushing about, I mean, yes, Yankees did some really nice moves. I think Harrison Bader is going to be a really important fielder, a really important player for the Yankees. They've made some good moves, absolutely. And here, announcement: Cubs are not trading Contreras or Happ. So, boy, I really thought one of those guys would have gone. Interesting. If so, again, I really think the Cubs need to extend Contreras. You didn't trade him while you could. Happ is still a free agent. He's ARB eligible next year as well, free agent in 2024. So the Cubs weren't under pressure to trade him. I mean, I don't know. He's also, I don't know, not that good. Is that fair to say? I feel like he has gotten way too much attention, Ian Happ. He was an all-star this year, but he's batting .279, which is good. 9 home runs. He's a decent player. I don't think he's an all-star. So maybe other GMs feel similar to me. So that's why he didn't get too much, a big enough offer for him. And really quickly, yeah, Contreras is just signed through this year, $9.6 million, very affordable contract, free agent next year. So yeah, if you're a Cubs fan, you have to be really hoping that the Cubs extend him. Okay, anyway, back to your question. I really do think the Phillies made some really solid moves to take them from this borderline team. Even though the players they got, they were not huge names, they were not big names, but I think they made enough nice moves, fine moves that really cements their spot as a playoff team now. Yes, Twins absolutely did get better, and I hate that I'm saying that. Yeah, our big guys, Jake Diekemann. When you compare Twins to White Sox, what they did to what we did, it feels very disappointing. I do think that move is a very positive move. Not to take anything away from the Jake Diekemann, Reese McGuire trade. I think that's a really positive move, but it is a little odd that something else didn't happen. Still refreshing, just in case. I'm still very baffled by the Whit Merrifield to the Jays move. Kansas City's getting Samad Taylor and Max Castillo. Don't know who those. Oh, Giants do not trade Carlos Rodon. That's a good mention. Jock Peterson also does not get by the Giants. There was no last minute trades. Yeah, it's pretty wild to me that the Giants didn't get something for Rodon. Let's see. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, John, that you like the move. Just wish there was more. Yeah, to be honest with you, I always hate when a move was made just to be busy, and at times it feels like sometimes that's why certain trades are made, just to say, hey, look, we're doing things. Because fans like us right now, we do get a little upset, like, gosh, I thought there was going to be more. But I do like that, unlike last year, the White Sox didn't make a trade that made the team worse. I think the one move they made was a good move. Of course, last year, we don't need to revisit it. Goodbye, Nicky Two Strikes. Although we haven't really missed him this year with him being injured so much. Hopefully, there's another one, another guy that got injured over and over again as a young guy, and hopefully it will balance out for him. So we are 14 minutes after Let's see. I bet they're hoping Rodon doesn't opt out and see how the next year goes. He's Nicky 3 strikes now. Yeah, he has not had the same luck. I shouldn't say luck. It's talent, but it just hasn't gone as well for him. You know, that's poor Nicky. He went from the White Sox to the Cubs. You just got to feel bad for the dude. And I'm not reveling in his lack of fortune because he was one of my favorite players to watch when he was with us. But yeah, Rodon, if he finishes the year healthy, he will 100% opt out because he only has 1 year left on that contract if he were to opt in, if he stays healthy, which we know is the biggest if in the planet when it comes to, I don't know, I think you would even say that he's less healthy than Eloy, and Eloy has missed a lot of time, as we know. But if he stays healthy, he'll be able to secure easily a contract that's well over $100 million. San Francisco at that point, maybe they'll be the one to extend him. And maybe they're working out an extension right now, as far as we know. Oh gosh, what was I going to say? Just want to make sure I wasn't missing breaking news. But yes, Cody Hoyer also being lost in that trade. Oh, here we go. Coming in long after the deadline has passed, Braves acquire Rafael Iglesias from the Anaheim Angels. Fantastic closer. That there's no point for him on a team that's not going to make the playoffs. That's a huge move, I think, for the Braves right there. In exchange for pitching prospect Tucker Davidson and righty Jesse Chavez. Yeah, I love that move for the Braves. I was able to see Iglesias pitch up close in person in Arizona when the Reds were facing the Diamondbacks back when I lived out there. And yeah, he's a lights out. He's a very solid reliever. Kenley, is there a Kenley Jansen trade also? Don't see it yet, although I'm only looking at one place because I'm trying to talk to you guys. And I totally forgot. Oh no, yeah, absolutely, yes. So yeah, again, the point in having a couple of really high end closer types. Obviously, it didn't work out with Craig Kimbrell and the White Sox last year, but it's definitely good to have those types of shutdown, lockdown guys late in the game. Yeah. Braves made some really nice deadline moves both this year and last year. And as always, this sets up for a very fun rest of the year. Whit Merrifield was having a pretty off last couple of years, but still, I'm going to be happy to not have to face him in Kansas City. Now, let's take another look. This will just buy us a little bit more time as we see if any last minute things come out. Remaining games for the White Sox. We have 10 against the Royals. Again, now without Merrifield. If only they would have gotten rid of Salvi Perez as well. Obviously, they wouldn't do that. 9 more against the Twins. Those will be tough. 9 more against the Tigers. They didn't, they got rid of Grossman and Fulmer. So, they should be a little bit depleted, but really they didn't make any huge trades. Cleveland, did Cleveland do? I mean, they had that one interdivision trade. I want to take a look just at Cleveland. So I want to see if I'm missing anything. All right, John, thank you for hanging out for a whole hour with us. Play ball and go Sox. Thank you. Let's see, Sandy Leone. Yeah, Cleveland did almost nothing. So that's kind of surprising for a team that's on the verge of getting in to really not really do anything. Okay, so we got 4 against the Astros coming up. That's going to be tough no matter what, but they did get stronger as well. I don't think Texas did much of anything. We have 4 against them. 3 against the Astros, now without Trey Mancini. 3 against the Mariners. They did pick up some players. 4 against the A's. They didn't sell off as much as I thought. I thought they might get rid of, but trade Ramon Laureano, but that didn't happen. 2 against the Rockies. They shipped away some players. 3 against the Diamondbacks, and then 3, those crazy 3 at the end of the season against Juan Soto, John Bell, and the Padres. So this is going to be one final refresh here because I bet we have seen everything that's going to happen. Take that back. Reds acquire Austin Romaine from the Cardinals. Kind of a minor trade, but a positive, interesting trade. Anytime a lower level team is picking up a major league player, it's odd to me. Clearly somebody that just didn't have a place with the Cardinals. And again, one more interdivision trade. thank you all who watched and commented and chatted along. It really makes it fun to be able to communicate with you all. I would love to do more. We need more trade deadlines somehow. I know that doesn't make sense, but I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. And I hope we get to watch the White Sox win at least, 70, 80% of the remaining games. Here's to hoping. Thanks for watching again. Let's play ball and go Sox.